Hello, namaste, my beautiful friend, welcome. I feel so blessed that our paths have crossed today. I hope you have a cup of tea. I'm drinking some organic green tea that I just made for myself. It's this beautiful sunny day, and I thought it'd be a good time to return to chatting with you guys. It's something we haven't done in a little bit on the channel. I've been very submersed in creating a course, the Writer's Wellness course, which you guys have heard about, and I've been working on it a lot, as well as my ebook. So that's absorbed a lot of energy, and it's put me into a bit of a hiding away within myself, making sure I'm channeling the energy I needed to into those projects. But now that they're finished, I can return to a little bit more of what we've normally been doing here on the channel, which is returning to some topics about mindfulness, minimalism, sustainable living, creative living, and how we can align with our divine creators within. Some new meditations coming too. Excited about that. But today I wanted to dedicate some space to talk about homeschooling. And this is a topic I've talked about a few times because it's impacted me in such profound ways. I was homeschooled all through my education by my parents in Vermont. And it was such a beautiful way to grow up, and I wanted to share from that experience today. This is not at all an instructional video or an opinion editorial trying to counsel you what you should do in your own unique journey. But I wanted to share from my unique journey. I'm not going to be sharing statistics or opinions or data. I'm going to be sharing a very personal experience that I had and an aspect of homeschooling that I feel is extremely important. And I cannot imagine what my life would be like now had this not been in place early on. One of the things that homeschooling does is it connects you to your sacred roots. And by that, I mean, if you are a parent homeschooling your child, teaching your child, as my mother and father taught me, it's going to create this incredible bond with your child. And I've been thinking about how important and how beautiful that is. How important that is. And I am speaking from the perspective of someone who has that bond with my parents because of homeschooling. And did that fuel my creativity? Absolutely. I would not be the creative being that I am today without that bond that homeschooling created, not only with, the space and time and incredible amounts of energy that drove me to make things and create things, but it was also the forging of these roots, the connecting to these roots through my ancestry, through my parents. Because on this incredibly fundamental level, it can get so easily swept aside in society that we need those roots. We need that connection. It's important and wonderful for children to have friends and to make friends and acquaintances, and all of that naturally takes place. But one thing that has been lost, I feel, and I've listened to a lot of teachers as well, and monks who have discussed how in Western culture, modern Western culture, there's a gap often between parents and grandparents, your family ancestry, those people in your life who are before you, and their children. And this gap, it seems, as time goes on, and there's lots of layers to this, and I'm not going to go into all of it here, but that gap seems to have widened. And so often I've seen parents who don't even seem to have very much of a connection with their children, or children who they don't have that bond with their parents. And for me, as I was growing up and as I was being homeschooled, that bond that I had with my parents, the divine beings who brought me into the world, was so invaluable and was such a big reason for how I was propelled forward in my journey. Because I had this incredible connection, not only to the earth and to nature, to my spiritual journey, and just being aware of myself as a spiritual being, a seeker moving forward, but I was also very aware of my roots, my family, my parents, my mother and father, and their presence in my life, and what they were able to cultivate through this very important sacred relationship. They were able to teach me not only about earth and the land, about my spiritual path, but about questioning everything. My mother always has said that. Question everything. Ask those questions and inquire. Inquire within. And see, what am I supposed to be creating? What am I supposed to be making today? What do I feel led to do? And I feel like these questions are so important to encourage your children to ask, and teaching reasoning, spiritually inquiring about these aspects that are constantly thrown at us from every which direction from society, right? Having that connection to be able to connect with child and mother, father, being able to connect and ask those questions, and also prompt so much creation from that place. And I feel like I would not be who I am today at all if I hadn't had that bond with my family that homeschooling had helped to make possible. Because all these other relationships that developed in my life, friends and, acquaintances, other family members, they were all wonderful and nourishing and had such a beautiful purpose. But my relationship with my parents was by far the most important and the most impactful on my life, because it was this journey that evolved and kept expanding and expanding and expanding until it went so far beyond just my parents who have taught me these things. It went into this incredible divine friendship and communion between mentors, elders, student, what that relationship looks like, communing together, what that looks like, inquiring, questioning things, prompting one another to create, and suddenly you have this very nourishing circle being created between parent or guardian and child. And it's like, wow, that so much can evolve from here. So much beyond just me sitting down and helping my child learn from a book. It's so much more than that. For me, it was so much more than that. It was learning to follow my own spirit. And so for everyone, this looks different. And like I said, I'm not trying to teach anything here. I just wanted to share my own story, because I think sharing our stories are really, really important. And if you're someone who feels like, oh, I don't know where I would even begin to, homeschool my child, or how I would even start a relationship like that. Maybe you're someone who wants to cultivate a relationship like that with your child, but you're not sure where to start. you are completely valid in asking those questions, and you're not alone, and it is an important thing to inquire about. It is valuable, and it's worthy of your time and attention, because this is a sacred bond with this human being that you help to bring into manifestation. And so there's always going to be this connection that it can be so much more than just that one primal layer of, you know, I am the parent of this child. It can be this incredible friendship that just goes on, and more layers of complexity begin to grow, begin to take shape, and man, it can spur so much creativity along the way. Like, so many of my books and my writing journey was inspired by my parents, and they just helped me on my journey. They were spirit guides and support. I keep going back to the word root because I feel like yoga has taught me so much about when you find that foundation, you can grow from there. You can reach, lengthen, stretch into new places when you have that foundation. And when you don't have that foundation, it can be hard to move forward with confidence. You can feel lost in a pose. You can feel like, I have no balance here. But when we have that foundation, we can feel so much more balance. And it's amazing what can happen when we just inquire, like, what does having this beautiful relationship look like? I just feel like that's an aspect that gets overlooked, because when we talk about homeschooling, a lot of the conversation, and I totally get it, it revolves around like academics and how we're actually structuring all of that. But this missing component also is this really innate need for connection. And we see it in the animal world when we look at animals who are spending time with their young. There's this incredible bond that gets created. And I think that's a reflection and a reminder of what can happen when we connect with that sacred relationship between parent and child, or guardian and child, and how that can make such an enormous impact in the long run and in the present moment. So those are just a few thoughts I wanted to leave you with. My sister and I were both homeschooled. My sister Abby over at Writer's Life Wednesdays. I'm sure you've probably seen her channel. If not, I'll link it below. But we just had such a profound experience with homeschooling, and it helped foster in us so much creative growth that led us to who we are today. And we've both talked about this at length, that we would not be doing what we're doing today had we not only been homeschooled, but if we didn't have this relationship with our parents that was cultivated through this practice of homeschooling, of being educated in an organic way. It's incredible the impact it's had, and we really want to cover more about this, because I think more than ever there is a need for it. And a lot of people have asked us, a lot of you guys have reached out and asked us, like, what was that like? And so many of you have wanted to us to have our parents on the podcast and just have this organic conversation, which honestly, that would be so cool too, because it's such a circle of love and light and nourishment that I feel like I want to share this with people so that more parents can realize there's so many resources out there to help you do this. You're not alone anymore. That if that ever was the case, it certainly isn't the case now. I think there's more people than ever homeschooling, and it helps create this incredible bond. And it's something that you can't like go back in time and do it over. So it's worth a thought now. It's worth a pause and some mindful inquiry as to whether we can go a different path. And again, I just wanted to share my story and how it's impacted my own life. I hope you enjoyed this little video. If you liked it, hit the like button, maybe share it with a friend, maybe share it with someone who was homeschooled or is thinking about homeschooling, and tell me your own story below. I know a lot of you guys have thoughts on homeschooling and you've commented in previous videos, so I would love to hear about your own unique journey and how it may have created some positive impacts in your life. Please share below with me in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next video. You can always check out my Patreon and my Etsy shop, Vermont Boho, below, and those are great ways to support if you feel drawn to do that. Otherwise, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, and I wish you so much joy in your journey. Namaste.